We just sang the last part of that song. Morasha Kehila Yaakov. It's an inheritance for the congregation of Israel. Right? Torah is given to us commanded to us by Moses at Sinai, and it's our morasha. It's our inheritance, which is such a beautiful idea. And the Talmud, by the way, goes into all sorts of crazy directions with that, including in the Tractate of Sanhedrin, which is all about punishments and criminal law and stuff. One of the rabbis positing that non-Jewish people who study the Torah should get the death penalty. Why? Because it's the Jewish people's inheritance. You're stealing it. And the penalty for stealing is death penalty. Like, what is going on in the 4th century? Well, you'll be happy to know also that there are countervailing arguments, including the one that says non-Jews who study Torah are like the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. There's a huge machloket in the Torah, in the Talmud, a disagreement about are non-Jews allowed to study Torah? And the answer is yes. Non-Jewish people can study, of course, if they're going for conversion, but no, even when they're not going for conversion, they can learn Torah. But it's a big machloket. It's a crazy thing, I think. Anyway, the morasha is all of ours. I would say it's a universal morasha. It's an inheritance. This is our legacy, and I love that. Anyway, okay. Marshali, I love how you say that about your brother-in-law. He's all about the joy. Yes, because what's today? It's Zos, and what else is it? It's Shabbat. And remember, Shabbat's all about? Right, remember the joy thing? I think I talked about that before. Anyway, it's all about joy. And as Jonathan says, it is Zaman Simchatenu, the time of our joy. The time of our joy. And where did it go? I had another text here. It was I don't know what happened to it. It seems to have walked away. But it was a very poignant text from someone whose son was killed in Gaza, and talking about rejoicing but not being joyful, right? And it's always I don't know.
It's got blue font.
No, it's not the blue one.
Okay.
Anyway, but the idea that it's a real mixed blessing, I think we're sitting here, I don't know how we're all sitting here. I'm sitting or standing here. I'm thinking about the amount of, it's the first time I've had this much hope in a very long time. Very long time. And I know a lot of people are feeling that too. I know a lot of people also are feeling, there's always that lingering doubt. I'm feeling that too. And also there's a pain, right? This I would say it's a hard won kind of thing, but I know that it's a one. It's been hard fought. It's been terribly depressing. So many things that have happened, and yet, God willing, the hostages will come home, and that will be a joyous moment for us. And we managed to celebrate that, even against the backdrop of the context. So, anyway, joy is almost never unmitigated, right? It's very hard to find unmitigated joy. So today being Shabbat and Sukkot still, I would say it's a double whammy of joy, and we're going to try to unmitigate our joy today. So, question I have for anybody who has read through this, if any of these texts particularly struck you, just starting out with a little open-ended question. Sorry I'm up here, by the way, it's just easier with the microphone situation. Anybody? Anybody look at the text and say, yeah. Yes, Marsha Lee. Thank you. Marshall has looked at the first big text on the second page, which is from the middle of Kitavo. Remember the curses that we read a couple weeks ago? Really fast and long? 8 minutes of woo, right through it. And we've been learning it in Torah study. We've been studying this. There's a long list of curses, and in the middle of the list, it says one of the reasons why you're getting all these punishments, these curses, because you would not serve your God in joy and gladness. No, they wouldn't serve God properly. It doesn't say you didn't serve God properly. It says you didn't do it in joy and gladness. By the way, there is that other element, which is you've turned the wrong way. But it's also that you're serving God not grudgingly, I feel. I'm adding that into the text. And because you didn't do that, you'll have to serve in hunger, thirst, naked, and lacking everything, the enemies whom Adonai will let loose against you, and God will put an iron yoke upon your neck until you're wiped out. Wow! So people, be joyous. Darn it. What else? Anything else right off the top? So I want to look at a couple. Did somebody have a hand? Oh, Jet Yallen.
I was thinking more about the month here you just read, all the bulls and so on. The number of sacrifices was really crazy.
It's really crazy. It starts with 13 and goes down to 7. You know, there are 70 bulls. There's so much animal sacrifice, supposedly. By the way, those a lot of those sacrifices could be eaten. You know, so you kind of need it. But where'd they find all of those in the desert? That's what I'm still trying to figure out. You know, Barbara?
I know this is the 21st century person, but it says, you and your slaves and your strange slaves and all that, because you were slaves in Egypt.
Yeah.
And so, doesn't it seem a little hypocritical that we were slaves in Egypt and we were so unbelievably horrible? Why are we becoming slaves now?
Oh, Barbara has opened the can of worms. No, it's okay. Now, you're supposed to do it through a 21st century lens because that's where we're living now, or when we're living. And Barbara says, listen, you know, you were freed from slavery. How could you have slaves? And it's a big question. In fact, right after the giving of the Ten Commandments, right afterward. And today it's chapter 21 of Exodus, is right after the Ten Commandments. The first laws are about how you treat your slaves. So, what? Well, I can give you a couple of little ideas, but I'm uncomfortable with slavery. All of us are. One is that it was more of an indentured servitude. One is that there was an evolution from slavery to eventual liberation. The rabbis will make sure that it is eventual liberation. Everyone that you don't really have slaves anymore. But also there's the idea that it's hard to just abolish something immediately. You know, especially if that's all you've known. So it's like, let's not abolish it, let's legislate it, put guardrails around it, and then eventually it won't be part of our reality. And in fact, in Deuteronomy, it says, if your slave wants to stay your slave, it's right before this part of what I have here, this quote, if your slaves want to remain slaves, then you have to drive an awl through their ear on the doorpost, right? They're not supposed to stay slaves. Supposed to go after 7 years. So yeah, it is an uncomfortable thing, for sure. Any other thoughts? Well, let's look at the text. I somehow cut out the source. I mean, how we have verses, we don't have the source on these. The first one is from our Hallel, which we realized we forgot to do Hallel today. So we're going to do some Hallel in a little while. Okay, we're going to do a little bit out of order. It's a little bit longer than it takes to say Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe, but whatever, we're okay. But in the Hallel, and this is one of my favorite lines in the whole Torah, and you know, we're always joking about this. Rabbi always says, this is my favorite line, and the next week it's like, this is my favorite line, and then later in the Parsha, this is my favorite line, you know, because of the Torah. Well, this is from the Psalms, right? This is Psalm 118. This is the day that the Lord has made, let us exult and rejoice on it. Zeh hayom asa Hashem, nagila v'nismechavo. What day is that? Every day. Every day. This is the day that God made. Now, let me just take a poll. You don't have to raise your hand if you feel. How many people think about it when they wake up in the morning and go, this is the day God made? Yes, I know you do. I know Rabbi Zeleny, of course. Hello. I hope you had a good walk. Excellent. It's in my top 3. I wanted it on the walls, and nobody else voted for it, so I'm still a little bit salty about that. Go ahead, Marsha Lee, you had your hand up?
No, I feel the same way. It's always a new beginning every day.
It's wonderful. Yeah, every day is a new beginning. And Camille, you also had your hand up. Every day. It's one of the reasons why we say brachot immediately. You know, we immediately get into it. If you were to say brachot with every single action you did all day, you wouldn't get anything done. You'd just be sitting around saying brachot. So at the very beginning of the day, we front load it with lots and lots and lots of brachot. Then we go about our day. But it's nice that we really orient ourselves that way. And I think to say every single day, and I'm so delighted it's one of your favorite verse. So delighted about that. If more people were like you, we'd have it on the wall. Yes, thank you. I feel like getting like a vote for Pedro shirt, you know? Vote for Psalm 118. Anyway, Zeh Hayom Adonai. The next set of verses comes from the Torah reading that we will do on Tuesday at Shemini Atzeret, and it's done at the end of our pilgrimage holidays. It's from the Parsha Re'eh. It's from chapter 16 of Deuteronomy. And it's the fifth of the 5 holiday lists. And in that holiday list, it's really a beautiful set of verses. What does it say? You can see. You shall rejoice, v'samachta, lifnei Hashem Elokecha, ta umicha v'itecha v'avlecha v'amatecha v'ali v'yishur b'shorecha v'ger v'yitom v'almanah asher b'kirbecha. And then somehow I have a little thing in the way of the rest of the Hebrew, which I should know because I read this a lot. But, you know, aside from perhaps the dissonance you might feel about slavery, there's also an amazing thing here, like everybody participates, but it's not just participation, because it's easy to say everybody show up, you know, and everybody can be here. No, everybody has to rejoice. You as the person who's in a position of rejoicing and possibly in a position of privilege, you're the one who has to make sure everyone else gets to celebrate. The ones who might not have it so easy. The ones who might be vulnerable and defenseless. Everybody. Why? Because you were slaves in Egypt. Okay? We have an empathy here. After the ingathering from your threshing floor and your vat, you shall hold the Feast of Booths. That's where we are now. We're in the Feast of Booths. I have been sitting in my booth and enjoying my booth. You know, there's something really, by the way, there's something nice about not only eating. I've never slept in a sukkah, just admitting. I come from the East Coast and I'm just too weak to do that. Anyway, so I never did that. But I love studying in the sukkah. You know, like I brought my tikkun out last night so I could practice my Torah reading. Took out my sources. I was sitting in the sukkah, and there's something really nice about that. And if you don't have a sukkah, we have a really nice sukkah here. Come sit in the sukkah. You know, you can take calls in the sukkah if you want. Well, yeah, it's a little vulgar, but that's okay, right? It's nice to have that kind of time in the sukkah. You shall rejoice, verse 14, once again. V'samachta b'chagecha, ata u'micha v'itecha v'avarcha v'amatecha v'alevi v'ager v'yatom v'almanah asher b'shorecha. If you haven't gotten the message yet, get it now. This is now Sukkot. Bring everybody in and rejoice with them. You know when we say Chag Sameach, right? Like a joyous Chag, and Chag is a holiday, it's a pilgrimage holiday. In the Talmud, Chag is Sukkot. So it's almost like saying happy, happy. It's like Shabbat Shalom, you know, it's like peace, peace, or, you know, completion. But Chag Sameach, and the Chag, Sukkot, you shall hold a festival for your God 7 days in the place that God will choose, that of course will become Jerusalem. For your God will bless you in all your crops and all your undertakings, and you shall have Ayita Ach Sameach. You'll be nothing but joyful, rejoicing. Wow. We got 3 mentions of joy in 6 verses. And it really is telling to say that the centerpiece of our holidays is a rejoicing. It's a rejoicing. What was it? It was on the 27th, Shabbat Shuvah. So it's a couple weeks ago now. We read the Parsha Vayelech. And in Vayelech, at the Sukkot after the sabbatical year, you have something called Hakhel. Hakhel, which has Kahal in it, the congregation. You are to gather. You are to assemble. Everybody, men, women, children, everybody comes to Jerusalem. Everybody gathers, and it is a joy fest. It's also a sacrifice fest. But it is an incredible, joyful time. And I was saying back on Yom Kippur, in the different service anyway, about how this is our Hakhel. This is our, Yom Kippur has become our Hakel. It's become our time when everybody comes. And there's something so powerful about that. And so joyous. We were talking last night in the Sukkah about the joy of Yom Kippur, right? And last night was our young adult Kabbalat Shabbat, even though there was no Kabbalat Shabbat because forget it. Anyway, we were in the Sukkah and we were talking about Yom Kippur as a day of joy because, Rabbi mentioned over the holidays, Yom Kippur in the Talmud is described as one of the greatest days of joy. And we're talking about that joy of just feeling cleansed somehow, just uplifted. But I think the uplift of everybody being together, there's something about that is really, really joyous. And I was thinking as people are coming down on Ne'ilah from the Ark, and we got to just greet people and just give us handshake, a hug, or just an acknowledgement. There was something really, really beautiful about that. Just to be able to not only see everybody around, but just to interact. It was so beautiful. Then the third text is the one that was pointed out. You better be joyous. You better serve God with joy, or else not so good. The fourth text comes from the book of Zechariah. It's chapter 8 of Zechariah, or Zechariah if you're reading it that way, but Zechariah. And Zechariah says that basically, so the fast of the 4th month, the fast of the 5th month, the fast of the 7th month, the fast of the 10th month. So these are the minor fasts, so-called minor fasts, and then Tisha B'Av is on there. Those will become joyous occasions. L'sasonu l'simcha l'moadim tovim v'amet v'shalom ehavavu. Okay? So this is saying all of these festivals, all these fast days become festivals. It goes from fast to feast. But there's a condition on the end of it. Right? Look at the end of it. You must love honesty and integrity. This doesn't come free. And even in the Deuteronomy text, you must rejoice, but you have to keep the mitzvot. You have to behave in a certain way. You can't just do whatever you want, and then you show up at Hakel and you're like, I'm here. Like, that guy's here? You have to be with honesty and take. You have to really approach it, I think, with a full heart. And then finally, the Talmudic statement that a lot of us know. But notice that there's the translation, and we have this on the wall, this one. Benzomo Omer, and this is from Pirkei Avot, Ezehu Ashir Hasamech Bechalko. Now, many times you'll see this translated as who is rich, the one who's satisfied in their portion. But I like this translation a lot better. The one who rejoices in their lot. You have your portion, you have what you have, and you rejoice in it. And it's hard to find people who are really, and I think there's an idea of contentment in there, but someone who's really feels like they've got everything they need, Most of us, the vast majority, I think I've met like 1 or 2 people ever who aren't like this. Most of us are striving. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with striving. It's hard to never have that settling, to never just be satisfied and to be happy and to rejoice. It's hard. It's hard. It's especially hard when you live in an area which is very acquisitive, right? People have a lot of stuff here. It's hard anywhere, but it's certainly hard in an area like this. So to say, I'm happy with what I got, I got a nice house. I've always thought, like, what would happen if I had double the square footage of my house? Like, it would be like another, 1,500 square feet I never go in, right? It's like, I don't need that. I'm happy with what I have, and I'm very satisfied. You shall enjoy the fruits of your labors, you shall be happy, and you shall prosper. You shall be happy in this world, and you shall prosper in the world too. And then it leaves us hanging because of my incredibly bad editing, but obviously it's the world to come, okay? And the rabbis actually even, Benzoma anyway, is pointing us toward your happiness will just extend beyond your life even. And I think even if we're not looking at the world to come, like the Ha'olam Haba, like the mystical, kind of the after, whatever, but those who succeed us, we read in the Torah portion about God being merciful, and then there would be punishment to the 3rd and 4th generations. But here it's saying, in the world to come, and I want to interpret that a little differently. My happiness can spill over into my children, hopefully, God willing, children's children, and then after that. So I wish you, everybody here, a joyous Sukkot, a joyous Shabbat. Or joyous Shabbat and joyous Sukkot. We'll have Kiddush later in the Sukkah. We'll be able to experience Sukkot. I also want everybody to listen joyously to Haftarah and to participate joyously in the Hallel, which will eventually happen.